All right, we're back here. We're talking about Revelation chapter 13. My name's Mike. This is my brother Mark, and we're going to continue on talking about the book of Revelation, and we're in chapter 13. And as I said before, this is where it really talks and explains about the Antichrist and how the Antichrist came to be, and the events that had happened before the Antichrist really came to the forefront. So John, in the book of John and First John, he says that there are small antichrists already that were with them already at that time. So the devil had already put the seeds in the already, and so now we're going to talk about the actual Antichrist. It talks about the number 666. We'll explain that. It's Bible numerics. And you can take Greek letters, and they actually do correspond to certain number values. It's its own study in itself. Bible numerics that are in sevens, and the numbers that can be added up, and they add up. They have corresponding numbers, and when you add up certain titles and words, they actually add up to 666, and it clearly points to who the Antichrist is and what it's all about. So we're going to start in Revelation 13, verse 1. So this is the premise of how the Antichrist came to be. So we're going to explain this in a minute.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns. Upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as like the feet of a bear, and mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
All right. So there's actually quite a bit here, actually. And so it talks about the beast having all these other animal characteristics. And actually, it's not a coincidence, because in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, there's prophecies about all the future empires that would come in the future, from starting with Babylon, which was mentioned. It was mentioning about a lion with wings, a lion that was talking about Babylon. And then the next empire, we're talking about a bear and this kind of thing. And so we're talking about Persia. And then it talks about a leopard, which is the Grecian Empire, the empires that was with Alexander in Greece. And then we have the iron. And we're talking about iron, and we're talking about this kind of idea. And that iron empire was actually, and that conquered all the other empires. It says that it conquered all the other ones, and it had fierce, and it was fierce, and it had sharp teeth, and it conquered all the rest of them, and that was Rome. So I mean, this is very clear that these empires had to come through before the Antichrist was revealed. And the next one is talking about that exact thing, the beast that came out of the sea. So there was one, we could say there's 2 beasts that came forth here. One was, the first beast was healed, and then the second beast came to being. So it seemed like, that the Roman Empire was defeated, and when the West was taken over at 400s AD. But what happened was, out of the sea, which is where Constantinople is. It is a majorly important seaport, connects Black Sea with the Mediterranean, and then actually out into the Atlantic. So it's very, very important, very strategic. So it was talking about that. But from the Western and Eastern Roman Empire's demise came the papacy, which had actually literally 10 kingdoms that had pledged allegiance to the Pope of Rome, which became a European empire known as the Holy Roman Empire. Not coincidence. This is talking about iron and clay now. We're talking about something that had the power of Rome from the past, but yet it was quite different because it had clay aspect in it, which I believe is talking about the popes, where they were technically the Pope in itself, and the papacy itself did not have iron in itself, so it's not pure iron. So it's not a Roman Empire of pure iron. So that's why it had the clay aspect, which was talking about that man in Daniel. So Daniel's prophecies start becoming quite clear here on what it was talking, what they were, the empires it was talking about. This is that beast with 10 horns, which is talking about 10 kingdoms. And that's exactly what was happening at this time that we're talking about. So we're going to continue to go on. And it's talking about in verse 4, it says, or sorry, earlier, it talks, the authority was given by the devil himself. And the devil was actually described as a similar beast, right? In the previous chapter, chapter 12. But now the devil has given now the power to the Antichrist, and that title and that institution and that empire known as the Holy Roman Empire. And so what happened is the popes, verse 4 talks about blasphemies. This is the most important aspect to say, okay, like, who is it? Who is the Antichrist? And what was the Antichrist going to do? Well, the Antichrist was going to have great blasphemies against God. And the popes have done tremendous blasphemies all the way through the ages, from the beginning of it in 400s, 300 AD, all the way up to 1870, where they were saying that they're infallible. So in other words, they cannot make a mistake. So everything that they say is 100% correct and backed up by God Almighty and Jesus Christ, which is the head of the church. So they're the substitutes of Christ on earth. And Antichrist can also mean substitute of Christ. And that's the blasphemy they make. They say they are in the place of Christ on earth. That's what the popes made. Many popes have made this claim.
In fact, I'd like to point this out, that a recent pope said people should give all their sins to him, that he can forgive sins. This is a recent pope. Maybe not the current one, but the one before, saying that all of mankind could give him sins, that he could forgive sins. Now, there's only one that can forgive sins. And there's only one man, one system of religion that claims to be in the place of Christ, and that can forgive sins. And that's the Pope. This is the blasphemies and that horn in that image speaking great things, like that image in Daniel that we read in chapter 7. Talks about a beast with horns and crowns, 10 crowns, having blasphemies and speaking great things. These are those great things. Blasphemies against God, being the forgiver of sins, infallible, which means perfect, flawless, which would make them as unto a God. Only God is perfect. Only Christ is perfect. And only Christ forgives sins. And Christ is the head of the church. And the popes also claim to be head of the church also. So all these blasphemies and great things are the blasphemies of the great beasts, which makes it very clear. The Antichrist must be the popes and the papacy.
So the Antichrist is a title. Because Antichrist, capital A, means substitute of Christ. And vicar of Christ, which is vicarious of Christ, vicar of Christ, actually literally said, basically is literally another way of saying Antichrist, literally. And then when we do the title of the Pope in numerics, it adds up literally to 666. I'm not making this up. This is, and the Latin kingdom, known as Latinos in Greek, adds up to 666. So it's going to be a Latin kingdom. And what other kingdoms of a Latin kingdom where Latin was spoken? Latin was the main language spoken, and it was going to be a kingdom. We had 10 kings. We have 10 kings here. So we're talking about the papacy was not only a religious institution with a person with the title of Vicar of Christ or substitute of Christ. It also carried an empire with it, the Holy Roman Empire, with 10 kingdoms supporting the Pope. So basically, nobody outside of that were able to come against this empire. It was powerful because it had 10 kings under it. So we're going to continue on.
Yep. And saying that, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which had given the power to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? It was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
42 months. Now, that's a time frame, again, in biblical time. It doesn't mean literally 42 months. It means 42 months in biblical prophecy. So a month is what? 30 years. So we have to take 42, right? Multiply it by 30. And then what do you get? 1,260 years. Yeah? So, very interesting. And we're just talked about, it just made reference to the church being persecuted for 1,260 years in the previous chapter, Revelation chapter 12. So things become clearer and clearer and clearer as we go here. So this is definitely not all these events so far into the future. No, it doesn't make any sense. But this makes a lot of sense. And now that we're reading and continue on in Revelation chapter 13. So we'll continue on reading.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints.
To make
overcome
war.
them with power, and to give it to them over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all them that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, and the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear.
So this is a warning. We need to pay attention here. The Lord's saying we need to pay attention that, okay, he will have this power, and basically nobody can oppose him. And that's what they did. They in the Dark Ages, all the way through 300 AD, when the Roman Empire made Christianity the state religion, all the way up to like basically up to Napoleon. Okay, Napoleon. Up to Napoleon, before up till Napoleon, the Roman Catholic Church and the papacy also had a power. They were an empire. And so we had the Roman Empire, got healed, became the Eastern Roman Empire. Or you could say that the Eastern Roman Empire, again, got healed by the existence of the papacy, which became the Holy Roman Empire. So, and that's why. And I was saying that they couldn't oppose him. And that's exactly what happened. Nobody opposed them at that point because they had all the power. And that power is given by what? The devil. It was given by the devil. And there was 1,260 years of terrible persecution against the real believers, people who really believed in the gospel of Jesus Christ and had Jesus Christ as their head and not the Pope or Antichrist. So we'll continue.
So here we are talking about, this was the great persecutions that we read in chapter 12.
Yes.
And this was the time frame in the Dark Ages and in the Middle Ages where so many believers are martyred. And
well, right into the Reformation, actually, all
right
the way
up to the Reformation.
Napoleon,
Yes.
actually, yeah.
So we can see through here about this persecutions and making war with the saints. So again, the believers been around all this time. The Antichrist has been around this time, all this time. Believers have been all around this time. We're all here. We're here on the earth being persecuted. The Antichrist is here, and the persecution is real. People are being martyred, and this process even continues up to this date. There's still a papacy, and there's still people being martyred for the cause. So we were talking about these events have occurred. So the Antichrist is here. Antichrist has been here a very long time, and we can see that. And it's saying that those who are with the Antichrist and this religion, we're with them, to dwell with them, shall not be written in the book of life.
That's why he says, if you have ears, let them hear. This is a major point. And if you're not written in the book of life, you are not in the first resurrection. You are not the Lord's, and you will not enter into the kingdom, and you will not be in the New Jerusalem that we're going to talk about in the Revelation chapter 22. So yeah, this is serious stuff. So I think we need to pay attention. So we'll continue on.
Yes. And he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience of the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he excited all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which did dwell there and worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men.
So we've explained that. There was another beast that arose out of it, and it was very similar to the other beast. And it has two meanings here, dual meaning here, I think. Talking about Western Roman Empire, and then being healed by the Eastern Roman Empire coming about. It was very similar to the Western Roman Empire, but we also clearly see that it's went from the Eastern Roman Empire, or well, let's just say Roman Empire as a whole, the Western and Eastern Roman Empire as a whole, from its destruction became the papacy, and the empire of the Antichrist, which is the Holy Roman Empire. So, that's the best way to describe this chapter and what it's talking about.
In fact, the title that the Holy Roman Emperor had was Pontifex Maximus, which also adds up to 666. So the title of this leader of the Holy Roman Empire, his title was also what adds up to 666.
Yeah, and that was the title. And here's the thing: the title of the Roman Empire. The Roman Emperor, the title of the Roman Emperor in Latin was literally adopted by the popes of Rome. Literally, they just took the term and just said, that's our term too. So the Antichrist is a title. And the Antichrist has an institution and an empire of 10 kings behind him. And so it's very clear that this is, what it's talking about. So I don't think there's this huge mystery, and even here's what I find very interesting: the Antichrist's title is not mentioned here. It's not actually mentioned anywhere in Revelation, but we can clearly see that's what it's talking about is the Antichrist, and because of the language and what it's talking about, so we clearly see that it is the Antichrist. And if you want to know what it's talking about, this is talking about that. So let's continue.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, and cause all both small and great, rich and poor, to free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that have the mark, and the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is his wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which is 666.
Right. So it says it's the name of a man. You see? 666. Or you could say a name is what? A title. Because a title is in a name, like Reverend such and such, Doctor such and such. Well, this is a title. And it's saying that this title's number in numerics will add up to 666. And we've shown that. And the papacy was where you could not buy and sell. Like, it didn't matter who you were. You weren't able to buy and sell unless you were part of the papacy and a part of that Holy Roman Empire. You could do nothing. You could buy nothing and you could sell nothing. And you basically, that's what happened to the real believers who decided not to be part of this empire and the system of the Antichrist. That's exactly what happened. And he killed those who did not obey. And so this is, seems very clear what it's talking about. So we'll leave it there. And God bless you, everyone.
Hold on
Take
just
care.
a second.
Oh,
So they killed everyone with the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is what you do to become a Catholic or part of the papacy in that empire. What they would do is take oil and go on your forehead and do the cross. And that's the image, the cross in the forehead, or in the hands, the crucifix, the things that they held, the idolatry, the idols. This is being mark of the beast. The people who are part of that Roman Catholic, papal, Holy Roman Empire system of religion, their practices, and who are part of that religion. These are the people who receive the mark of the beast and worship the image of the beast. All right? So God bless.
yeah. Take care. Thanks for that point. All right. God bless you, everyone. I know this is hard stuff, but yeah, this is what it's talking about. And so, yeah, take care, everyone.